Coming up in this episode, we say goodbye to the Faroe Islands. We make our second passage in the North Atlantic Ocean. And it's coming dead from behind. So that's not good news for us because we would be on the way forever. We have to negotiate some shipping traffic and we check out what's on offer in Shetland. Good morning. It's the 3rd of July and we're preparing for our next leg from the Faroe Islands to Shetland across the Atlantic Ocean. We have been looking at the weather for the last 2 weeks and finally we think tomorrow we have spotted a favorable weather window with the conditions that we like, which means the wind is from the back or from the side depending on what time on the trip that is. The wind is about 15 to 17 knots maximum. It will go down as we see towards the end, so there will be hardly any wind down here. Gusts will be about 22 knots maximum, so not too bad, and the waves will be smaller than 2.5 meters. So all in all, conditions we like. It's 3 a.m. and dawn has just broken on Tuesday the 4th of July. We prepare Polaris to leave her berth in Tórshavn for a passage of 200 nautical miles to Scalloway on Shetland. The trip should take about 30 hours. We had gale force winds from the northwest over the last few days, which kicked up a large swell between the Faroes and Shetland. As we did not fancy a repetition of our trip to the Faroes, we decided to wait an extra day, knowing that this probably meant using the engine for many hours. Pushing into the flat calm morning in the marina, we wonder what this passage will hold for us. We turned Polaris into the wind and we're ready to hoist the mainsail. Now. As long as there's not too much wind and waves, we're preparing the preventer because we're gonna need that anyway. After 4 weeks, it is time to wave a farewell to the Faroe Islands. Time flew by as we explored the island's spectacular landscape, hiking to Hamnavoe, Lake Sørvágsvatn, the Bøsaldalafossur waterfall, the Trellanipa cliffs and to James Bond's tombstone on Calsoy. We sailed to the sea caves on Hestur and the stunning cliffs on the north coast of the Faroes. We learned the story of Risin the giant and Kellingin the hag and the story of Koppakonen, the seal woman. We witnessed Faroese culture in its extremes and we made many wonderful new friends who overwhelmed us with their generosity and their hospitality. What was an unknown dot on the globe to us before quickly became a love affair to Catherine and me, and we keep the Faroe Islands and its people in a very special place in our hearts. For us, it is not a goodbye, this is an au revoir. The wind freshened up to about 16 to 18 knots and we're sailing. The sea is still a bit confused, but we have the tide against us and that will shortly stop and then we should be much better. So far so good. It is 7:30 in the morning and we are 4.5 hours into our passage. 25 nautical miles done, 175 to go. The wind is variable, 10 to 14 knots directly from behind, as are the waves. This wind does not give us enough speed to sail comfortably. In order to hold the course, we need speed, and the 4 knots we can expect on the sail will not be enough to keep Polaris stable in the prevailing sea state. So as expected, we decide to run on the engine to make life a bit more comfortable. 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We've been on the way for 10 hours. Yes, 10 hours already. No, 11 hours. And we've made 60 nautical miles, which is not that much. The wind has basically not done what the forecaster said. It should have turned more to the southwest by now and still remains strong. At the moment we have 10-11 knots and it's coming dead from behind. So that's not good news for us because we can't sail in these conditions or not sail efficiently. We would make like maybe 4 knots of boat speed, which is just not enough. We would be on the way forever. So I decided to put the motor on to make the best out of it. We are now approaching our goal with about 6.5 knots, which is acceptable, which is fine. So we should reach it by tomorrow afternoon. This is another thing that wasn't predicted in the forecast today, but I like it. The sun is out and there's blue sky. It was predicted to be cloudy all day, no sun, and so we take that for the wind that is not as it should. At least we have some sun. Night night, Lockwood. Sleep well. Our routine during the day is that we just are up or go for a nap whenever we feel like. We just make sure that there's always one that is in the cockpit. During night it's always, we make long ones, so Catherine normally starts by going to bed around 7, 8ish, and then she can sleep until about 2 o'clock in the morning, until I can no more, and then at 2 o'clock I go to sleep for a couple of hours until the next morning. That's our watch routine on Polaris. Meanwhile, it is evening on our first day on the way. The ship has just appeared on the AAS, and the system tells me that it's a cruise ship coming in our direction, but also that she will pass in a safe distance. Good evening. It's 11:30 at night. Still quite bright outside. It will not get much darker now. We're on the way using the engine, about 78 nautical miles out of our final destination, Scalloway. We're making good progress. The wind has completely died. We now have between 5 and 10 knots, but not really something we can sail, so that's why we use the engine. We're doing about 6.5 to 7 knots over ground, so progressing nicely. There's not a lot of traffic around, actually nothing, and just a little bit of a chilling sail. The only thing that's a bit of a bugger is the old swell. It's quite high, and at times when a big heave is coming it shakes the boat, it's rolling, and that's quite uncomfortable. I hope Catherine can sleep a bit, that would be helpful. I think I'm gonna do another 1.5, 2 hours probably, 12, yeah, 2 hours probably, or 2.5 hours, and then it's my turn to go to bed. Bye-bye. It is now early in the morning of the second day and Catherine's turn to watch. I am trying to get some sleep on the saloon settee. Catherine has detected the ship approaching on our starboard side. The AAS tells her it is a tanker with a length of 126 meters. It also tells her that the closest point of approach is approximately 1 nautical mile in 6 minutes. The tanker is currently 1.7 miles away from us, moving at 11.8 knots on a course of 38 degrees, and it will be crossing our course. As we are both under engine, coming from our starboard, the tanker is the stand-on vessel and we have to take action to avoid a collision. To be on the safe side, Catherine decides to slow down for a few minutes to let the tanker cross our course in a safe distance ahead of us. Late in the morning on the second day of our passage, and we approach the small fishing harbour of Scalloway on the southwest coast of Shetland. Catherine prepares the fenders and lines to berth Polaris on the pontoon of the local boating club. As always, she dresses the lines over the guard lines, ready to be picked up when she is on shore. It took us 33 hours to make the 210 nautical miles passage from Tórshavn. The crew of a small Swedish yacht take our lines and help us making fast. They were our neighbours in Tórshavn and had left for Shetland on Sunday, noontime, about 1.5 days before us. I remember asking myself, "Are you sure?" when I saw them slip the lines. We asked them how their passage had been, and their single-word answer said it all: horrendous. They experienced wind of up to 35 knots and waves between 3 and 4 meters. With hindsight, we were happy with choosing a later departure time when conditions had calmed down, although this meant running on the engine for 25 hours. So today we're going on a boat trip with the Dinghy. We're going to a place called Hamnavoe first, and then we'll see to some beaches. It is a longer trip, so we take the heavy engine, the fast one. After our experience of the stunning beauty of the Faroe Islands, we are curious about what Shetland would come up with. Well, entering this Caribbean-style white sandy beach and its turquoise water is not a bad start. Here we make a short break and enjoy some lunch on this sunny and warm day. And basking in the sun, we decide to place the Faroes on memory lane and to open our mind to the different but no way less stunning beauties of our new playground, the Shetland Isles. Riding in our fast and noisy dinghy is efficient and fun, but we both find that the experience of exploring suffers a bit. It's like driving by in a car. and we seem slightly detached from the beauties nature presents to us. Recently, we have been thinking a lot about adding kayaks to Polaris' collection of toys. We have seen many sailing yachts carrying kayaks on their decks, and it seems to be a fun way to explore the coastline in calm conditions. However, our current deck layout will only allow a maximum length of 3 meters, and so far we have not found a good solution for storing them on board without restricting the forward vision from the cockpit, which is essential on passages. If you have any good ideas or tips, please leave them in the comments below. And as we return to our mothership, we get ready to explore another story. The story of the Shetland bus. Operating out of Scalloway during the Second World War, this clandestine special operation kept a permanent link between Shetland and Nazi-occupied Norway. But more about this in our next episode, when we also sail to Papastor, the Whale Firth, and onward to Lerwick. If you like this video, please share, give us a like, subscribe and press the notification button. You can also join Sailing Polaris on Instagram and Facebook. Thank you for your support.